Devastated after finding an old hookup video of my husband and our nanny, how do I confront him? Hey Reddit. I never imagined my marriage would come crashing down because of something I found on an old phone. I feel like my entire world has shattered, and I have no idea how to pick up the pieces. My husband and I have been together for 3 years, married for 1, and we have a beautiful baby girl who just turned 6 months old. Everything felt perfect, or at least I thought it did. We had our struggles, sure, but what couple doesn't? He always assured me that he loved me, that he was committed to our family. I believed him. I trusted him with my whole heart. But now, I can't even look at him without feeling sick. It all started 2 nights ago. Our baby was finally asleep, and my husband had gone out with some friends. I was home alone, trying to clear up some space on our old shared laptop. We had an older phone connected to it, one we used to use before upgrading. I was scrolling through old pictures, reminiscing about our early days together, when I saw a folder labeled private. At first, I hesitated. It felt wrong to snoop, but curiosity got the best of me. My stomach dropped when I clicked on it. There were several videos in there, but one caught my eye immediately. It was dated 2 years ago, a few months before my husband and I got engaged. My hands were shaking as I pressed play. The video started innocently enough, just him and his best friend, Sarah, sitting on a couch, drinking. But within seconds, it escalated. Clothes started coming off. The camera angle shifted, but there was no mistaking what was happening. They were hooking up. Not just a drunken mistake, not just a kiss. Full-blown sex. And the worst part? They were laughing. Giggling. Like this was some fun little secret between them. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like it was being crushed. My husband and Sarah had been best friends for years, long before he and I ever met. I had always been a little uneasy about how close they were, but he reassured me countless times that there was nothing between them. She was like a sister to him, he said. Just a friend. And like an idiot, I believed him. The betrayal burned through me like fire. Sarah isn't just some ex from the past, she's our daughter's nanny. She spends almost every day in our home, around our child, around me. How many times have I invited her in, made her coffee, trusted her with the most precious thing in my life? How many times has she smiled at me, knowing she once had my husband in ways I never imagined? I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the screen. Part of me wanted to throw the laptop across the room. Another part wanted to burn everything he owned. Instead, I just sat in stunned silence, replaying every moment in my head. Had they been acting weird around each other? Had I missed the signs? Were they still doing this behind my back? My mind was racing, spiraling into a pit of paranoia and heartbreak. When my husband came home later that night, I couldn't even look at him. He kissed my forehead, asked if I was okay. I nodded and forced a smile, but inside, I felt like I was dying. I wanted to scream at him, confront him right then and there, but I held back. I needed to think. If I accused him outright, he could twist things, make excuses. I needed a plan. The next morning, I watched them carefully. Sarah came over like she always did, greeting my husband with her usual cheerful smile. He barely glanced at her, acting as if nothing was out of the ordinary. But now, every interaction between them felt tainted. I studied their body language, searching for any hidden tension or lingering looks. I couldn't tell if I was overthinking or if there was still something there. I spent the whole day debating what to do. Should I confront her first? Should I talk to my husband privately? What if they were still sleeping together? What if they denied everything? I needed proof, something undeniable. So, I decided to wait. That night, when my husband was asleep, I went through his phone. I know it was wrong, but I didn't care. I needed answers. I scrolled through his messages with Sarah, but everything seemed normal. No flirting, no late-night texts. But then I checked his deleted messages. There it was, several conversations that had been erased. I managed to recover some of them, but nothing incriminating. Just casual talks, random check-ins. But why delete them? What was he hiding? I felt like I was losing my mind. Maybe it really was just a mistake from the past. Maybe it meant nothing. But how could I ever trust him again? How could I look at Sarah without wondering if she had touched my husband behind my back? I decided I needed to talk to him. But I couldn't just blurt it out. I needed to be strategic, to make sure he didn't try to manipulate the situation. So I waited until the next evening when we were both home, just the two of us. I sat him down, took a deep breath, and said, "I found something on the laptop." His face instantly changed. He tried to play it cool, but I saw the flicker of panic in his eyes. "What do you mean?" he asked. I stared at him, my heart pounding. "An old video. You and Sarah." His entire body stiffened. For a second, he said nothing. Then, he sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "That was before you and I were serious. It meant nothing. I felt like he had punched me in the gut. It meant nothing? I repeated. She's in our house every day. She's around our daughter. You lied to me. He shook his head. I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you because it wasn't important. I knew it would upset you for no reason. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No reason? You slept with her, and she's still in our lives. How do I know it ended there? He swore up and down that it never happened again, that he cut it off before we got serious. But how could I believe him now? He already kept this from me for years. What else had he lied about? I told him I wanted Sarah gone. That she couldn't be in our house anymore, couldn't be around our child. He hesitated. Firing her over something that happened years ago isn't fair. I laughed bitterly. Not fair? To who? Me or your little secret? We argued for hours. He kept insisting it was in the past, that I was overreacting. But I couldn't just let this go. I told him I needed time to think. I packed a bag, grabbed our daughter, and left for my sister's place. I needed space. I needed to figure out what to do next. Now, I'm sitting here, replaying everything in my head. I feel broken, betrayed, and completely lost. Do I believe him when he says it was a one-time thing? Do I try to work through this? Or is this unforgivable? And what about Sarah? Does she even feel guilty? Did she ever love him? Was she hoping I'd find out one day? I have so many questions, and I don't know if I'll ever get the answers I need. I don't know what my next move is. I don't know if I can ever trust him again. All I know is that my heart is shattered, and I don't know how to put the pieces back together. I need to decide what to do next, but I don't know where to start. And deep down, I'm terrified that this is only the beginning of what I'm about to uncover. Update. I never expected the response I got after my first post. Reading through the comments, I felt an odd mix of validation and devastation. So many people told me to leave, to run, to never look back. Others urged me to get more proof, to dig deeper before making any rash decisions. And then there were the few who told me I was overreacting, that if it truly happened before we were serious, I should let it go. But how could I just let it go? This wasn't some minor lie, this was my entire marriage, my entire foundation, cracking beneath my feet. After taking a few days to process, I decided I needed to talk to Sarah. I couldn't ignore the fact that she had been in my home, in my life, acting like a friend when she had this massive secret. So I called her and told her to come over, but this time, my husband wasn't home. I wanted to see her reaction without him there to control the narrative. When she arrived, she looked nervous, like she already knew why I'd asked her to come. I wasted no time. I sat her down and simply asked, "Why didn't you ever tell me?" She swallowed hard, her hands shaking as she reached for her glass of water. "I never told you because I didn't think it mattered. It was before you two were serious, and he told me he was going to marry you. I didn't want to ruin things for you." I stared at her, trying to process her words. But then I realized something. She had just admitted it without hesitation. No denial. No shock. Just straight acceptance, as if it was some unfortunate fact she had to acknowledge. It made my stomach turn. So I asked her the question that had been eating at me since I found the video. Did it ever happen again? She hesitated. That tiny pause told me everything. "Tell me the truth, Sarah. I need to know." She sighed, looking down at her lap. "We were drunk that night," she said quietly. "But a few weeks later, it happened again. And then, a few more times. But he ended it before he proposed to you." My heart nearly stopped. This wasn't just a one-time drunken mistake. This was an affair. A repeated, intentional betrayal that continued up until the moment he decided I was worthy of being his wife. I felt like I was going to be sick. I stood up so fast that my chair nearly toppled over. "I can't believe you've been in my house, around my child, pretending to be my friend." She looked down, her eyes welling up. "I swear, it meant nothing. He chose you." "He chose me? Like I was some kind of prize after he was done with you?" The rage inside me was uncontrollable. I told her to leave. I told her she was never coming near me or my child again. She tried to apologize, but I was done listening. The moment she left, I knew there was no going back. My husband had lied. He had cheated for months, not just once. And the worst part? He only stopped because he was ready to settle down. How was I ever supposed to believe he wouldn't do it again? When he came home that night, I confronted him immediately. And just like I expected, he tried to twist everything. He acted shocked that Sarah had admitted it, as if I was supposed to believe he forgot it happened multiple times. He begged me not to throw away our marriage over something in the past. But it wasn't just the past. It was my present, my reality. I told him I needed space, and that I was considering divorce. He panicked, saying he would do anything to fix this. But how do you fix something that was built on lies? I left that night and went back to my sister's house. My heart felt heavy, but at least I finally had clarity. Another update. It has been a week since I left, and my husband has been relentless. He's been calling, texting, even showing up at my sister's house begging for another chance. He swears he has never cheated since we got married. He says he was young and stupid back then, that he didn't understand what real love was until he almost lost it. He's even offered to go to therapy, to do anything to prove he's changed. But how do I believe him? How do I ever trust him again? I keep replaying those videos in my head, imagining the nights I thought he was just out with friends when he was really with her. I think about all the times I asked if anything had ever happened between them, and he looked me right in the eyes and lied. And then there's our daughter. That's the part that makes everything so much harder. Do I stay for her? Do I try to fix things because she deserves a two-parent household? Or do I leave and show her that betrayal isn't something you forgive just because someone says sorry? I decided to take some time to myself before making a final decision. I went to a lawyer to understand my options. Divorce isn't easy, especially with a child. I wanted to know what custody would look like, what my rights were. The more I learned, the more real everything felt. This wasn't just some dramatic fight. This was the possible end of my marriage. Then something unexpected happened. A mutual friend of ours reached out. She told me she had heard what was going on and wanted to tell me something. Apparently, Sarah had been bragging about her history with my husband to a few close friends years ago. She even joked about how easy it would be to get him back if she wanted. That was the final straw for me. I told my husband I was done. No more talks, no more therapy, no more begging. I was filing for divorce. He broke down, saying he never wanted this, that he would regret it for the rest of his life. But regret doesn't undo what he did. Final update. It has been a month since I filed, and my life has been a roller coaster of emotions. Some days, I feel strong, confident in my decision. Other days, I feel hollow, like I lost the future I had planned. But one thing is certain, I am never looking back. My soon-to-be ex-husband is still trying to get me to reconsider. He has written long apology letters, sent gifts, even asked for supervised visitation with our daughter to prove he's a changed man. But I don't need proof. I already know who he is. Sarah? She's completely out of the picture. I made sure she would never be near my child again. She had the audacity to message me after everything, saying she hoped we could heal from this. I blocked her without a second thought. The hardest part has been adjusting to life as a single mother. But every day, I wake up and remind myself that I chose me. I chose my dignity, my self-respect, and my daughter's future over a man who didn't value me enough to stay loyal. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that love is not enough. Trust, respect, and honesty matter just as much. And if those are missing, then it's not a real marriage. It's just a lie wrapped in pretty vows. So, to anyone who ever wonders if they should stay with a cheater, remember this: once trust is broken, it never truly heals. You deserve better. And I did too. I am finally free. And I have never felt stronger.